2009, just in case, because I don't want you to get to that part of the interview and myself and the guest are trying to remember this girl's name and we can't think of it, even though we both know what we're talking about. So you might want to look that up, and maybe some of you even remember that happening 12 years ago. Yeah, you got to give BA, you got to give the thumbs up. Yeah. Linda says, curious, can you see who leaves the thumbs up? I've never tried to, Linda. I don't know. I know you can do that on Facebook. I don't know if you can do that on YouTube or not. Velveta says, I've always been surprised how impatient people are when they murder to collect on life insurance policy. It's open so soon after the policy is open, they try to fool insurance companies and cops. Yeah, and usually doesn't work. I think that's more of like a movie thing. Life insurance, people being murdered for life insurance is a great plot device. But I'm not saying, of course, people try to do that, but I think that it's hardly ever successful. Ruth says, yes, Raymond put Annie in a wall. That's true. Yes. Marge says, I appreciate the show and all of you do. I'm catching up on past shows. Thanks, Marge, for finding the program, and thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Eileen says, Raymond Clark took an Alfred plea. He did. Yes. Annie Lay, Kathy, Annie Lay. Thank you, Kathy. I knew I got that wrong. Annie Lay, but it's spelled L-E. Ruth says she was buried on what was to be her wedding day. Yeah, it's just, I remember when it happened. I remember before he was even, it was still a mystery as to where he was. I can remember watching that, following that back in 2009. Yeah. Kathy says, Louise, yeah, these guys can't take rejection. Yes. Okay. Well, let's get to it. This Friday, Unfound is covering the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. Now you maybe understand why Annie Lee's murder came up, because, of course, she went into a building and never came out, and it is believed that Brian Shaffer went into a bar and never came out. So I brought it up during the interview that I did with the guest. Her name is Kelly Bruce. She is a woman I've known for over 4 years, and in fact, she is the organizer of the Brian Shaffer Missing Persons Day. At least she was when she lived in Ohio. She does not live there anymore. And in fact, I think it was 2018, that she actually invited me to Ohio to speak at that day, and I couldn't make it. So we've known each other a while. And she is what I would consider to be the foremost expert on the disappearance of Brian. She has done a lot of great work in trying to figure out what happened to him. Was he murdered? Did he walk off? What could have happened? And so she is the guest, and we are covering Brian Shaffer's disappearance, one of the most well-known missing persons cases in the United States in the 21st century. He disappeared April 1st, 2006, Columbus, Ohio. I think many of you know that he went to this place called the Ugly Tuna Saloona. And there is video of him going into the place, but allegedly there's no video of him ever leaving. And that's generated a lot of rumors and theorizing. Did he get murdered? And, did something happen in the bar with one of the employees? On and on and on. And as you know, we don't theorize on the program. All we do is present the facts. And the name of this episode is 15 Years of Fame. That is the title, because we just passed the 15-year mark, the anniversary of his disappearance. And it's kind of a play on the Andy Warhol idea that in the future, I think it was him, that everybody, or was it George Orwell? Everybody in the future will have 15 minutes of fame. But this is being called 15 Years of Fame because Brian Shaffer's disappearance is very well known, and it's been 15 years. The interview, as you would expect, is about 3 hours long, and we cover a lot of stuff, and there will be at least at least the way I understand the disappearance, what I know about it. There are two new pieces of information that that are discussed that I don't think have ever been discussed before anywhere in the interview. These are things that Kelly just discovered, I think, within the last year or so. Kelly does have her own program, own podcast, and in fact, she was interviewed earlier this year by CNN for a show they're going to be doing on Brian Shaffer's disappearance in September. We talk a little bit about that. However, due to the contract she signed, she is not allowed to talk about what she said, what they filmed. So we just talked about the process of her being interviewed. And I'm so happy that she was being recognized for her great work. There will be a YouTube video accompanying this. The Ugly Tuna Saloon, it still exists, but it's in a different location. So I will be showing you the old location, even though on the map it'll be labeled as something different. And I will do my best to try to diagram it, even though I know things have changed there in the last 15 years. Kelly has given me a lot of pictures. As you know, I've already posted some things in the group, on Instagram, on Twitter, on the page. And more of that stuff is to come tomorrow. On our website, there's going to be a ton of pictures and other things that I'm going to give to Natasha that she will be posting there. Interior pictures of the Ugly Tuna Saloon and a lot of different things. So that's this Friday. I edited the interview today, or I listened to it, I should say, and it came out great. I recorded most of my part. As you would probably expect, this is just like any other episode. The format is the same, although my summation in the end is a little longer than usual, but not absurdly longer. Maybe only a couple minutes longer than is usually the situation. You may be asking, well, why now, Ed? What was it? You've known about his disappearance, maybe even going back to 2006. Why now? And I just have to tell you that I think that you just want to make sure that, Brian Shaffer's disappearance is fairly complex. A lot of information. There was, even though there's even, Kelly's discovered even more information since Unfound got started. But even if this had been the first episode of Unfound, there was still a lot of information. And I don't know if I was in a position to be the best kind of interviewer to make sure that everything is covered in an orderly way. And not to mention that so many other programs have covered his disappearance that we certainly don't want to do a bad job on it. And of course, we want to be best. So I had to make sure that I was in the right place, that I thought I was prepared to look at all the information, talk to Kelly about it, make sure I'm able to put together a good interview outline, and make sure that I know the right questions to ask. And should things pop up during that interview, or am I ready to go off on this or that tangent? Because there's a lot of information and I want to make sure that everything is covered the right way and we don't miss anything. So I think a lot of it was just making sure I was ready to do it. Kelly was certainly ready to do it. So that's why. And it was a couple months ago. I know that, she kind of just popped on my radar because, she had posted, or maybe she just told me privately through Messenger, I got interviewed by CNN, or I'm going to get interviewed. And that's kind of what put it in my head. Well, maybe it's time. So we did the interview on May 2nd, and the episode will come out this Friday. It's an episode that's about 3.5 hours long, and we don't do any theorizing. We stick to the facts of going on in Brian's life before, the facts that went on that night, everything that has happened since. And so we don't do anything unusual. We didn't get freaky with it. We just cover his disappearance like any other. It doesn't matter if it's well known or not. Everybody gets the same treatment here. So that's this Friday. Let's see what some of you are saying here before I leave. Charlotte says, yes, it's very puzzling and interesting. BA says that's South Campus. It gets rough just 2 streets down all the way to downtown. Ruth says, I keep thinking how he could not be found. If he wasn't anywhere in the bar, it's an interesting case. BA says, I lived a couple streets over for 3 years of undergrad. Interesting. Lots of big dumpsters down all those alleys. 55,000 students. Yep, Ohio State University, one of the largest in the country. Yeah. Louise says, Ruth Simpson, I think he was killed and put in the bar's bin. The bins would be emptied. Like I said, we don't get into any theorizing. It's up to all of you to listen to what Kelly has to say to come to your own conclusion. Velveta says, looking forward to this one. I live in Columbus. Wow. I lived in the campus area where he disappeared. It was even worse and getting more dangerous than when he vanished. He went missing at a time when lots of guys his age went missing across the United States. Yeah, that's the whole smiley killer thing, which I don't believe in. High Street has changed. The people involved won't talk about it. Yes, Clint, Meredith, Alexis. Luckily, though, Kelly is in touch with at least one investigator, and you will talk. She will mention how she's gotten to talk to Alexis's father. So she has had some access, but not a ton. And you're right; a lot of these people do not speak to any reporters anymore. Ruth says been some wild theories thrown around about his disappearance. Absolutely. And we don't get into those, Ruth. A lot of rumors about a lot of things. And we just stay away from all that. Louise says, I don't think the smiley face killer got him. I don't either because I don't believe it exists. I think the maid he was with knows a lot more. I also think the death of his dad is suspicious as well. Okay. Also, a Pearl Jam fan and Eddie Vedder still raises awareness. That was, of course, something. Yeah. BA says it's hard to appreciate unless you've gone down those alleys after 2 or 3 a.m. in that area. Okay. So that is this Friday, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. And I really appreciate Kelly Bruce coming on the program for this Friday. She did a great job, of course. So that's about it. Once again, please give this video a thumbs up. This live show. What did we do? We talked about the women's event, disc golf event. I got my first Moderna vaccine shot. Showed you my guitar, playing a little piano, buying a car is kind of on the back burner. I'm down to about 180.4 pounds. I hope you all had a great Mother's Day. Talked about the Sandy Knight poll, the book situation, bringing that to the front burner, I think. Talked about how all the blogs will now also be in audio form. The newsletter is going to be in audio form. Dr. Telesco in 2 weeks. Erica Hernandez driving into the water in Pearland, Texas. Article, Men Who Kill Their Wives. Annie Lay, how she was murdered at Yale. Took 3 great questions from Charlotte. Good job, Charlotte. Way to come up with some great questions. And finally, this Friday, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. I so much enjoyed doing these live shows. I don't know why more true crime podcast hosts don't do them. I love doing this. I love talking to all of you. I love preparing the outline every day. All of you. It's great. That's all I got. Please have a safe week. And you will hear me again on Friday for the disappearance of Brian Shaffer coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Good night.